Emma.
Hi.
I'm on fire. Fire side.
Okay, so there's a mammal crisis, specifically dolphins and sea lions and some birds. Have you been hearing about all the dolphins and the sea lions washing up on Southern California beaches?
No.
It's crazy, like hundreds. There's like this algae and it releases this like toxin called like domoic acid. It's killing all the mammals, like all the dolphins and the sea lions, not all the mammals, but those are the primary ones. And they're washing up on the beaches, and then all the animal rescue people have to prioritize which ones to save. They're only budgeted to save about 200 a year. And there's like already been like 300.
Wait, they're washing up dead or they're washing up poisoned?
Some dead, and then some like on the verge of death.
This is horrible.
I know, which made me think, have you ever like pet a dolphin? Have you ever swam with the dolphin?
No, but that's actually like a big dream of mine is to swim with dolphins. I would
Oh
love
my God,
to do that.
it was my dream too, and I did it.
Really?
And I was so excited. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to get started. We can keep talking about this. We're gonna come onto our hands and knees, so into a little 4-point kneel position, and we're just gonna start with a little cat-cow. We're gonna do 20-minute full body spinal mobility focus. So we're gonna take a big inhale as we arch through the back, look up to the ceiling. And then we're gonna take a big exhale as we press out of the hands, round through the spine, and look towards your belly button. And we're gonna keep going. So you wanna keep your hips on top of your knees. You wanna keep your shoulders on top of your wrists. And every time you round, I not only want you to think about really pressing out of the hands to open up the upper back, but I also want you to think about your abs engaging. So you should think about your ribs and all of your organs in your midline basically coming in towards the spine. So you can feel that contraction, like a tightening of a corset. For 5, I feel like it's like a very girly thing to be like, I want to pet a dolphin. That's my dream.
I feel like when I was little, I used to draw like pictures of dolphins obsessively.
For 3, is it because of Flipper? Like maybe Flipper is the one who like brainwashed us into dolphin love. Okay, we're gonna take one more rounded back. Take it nice and slow. Beautiful. And then you're gonna meet me in your neutral position when you're ready. So that's a position between both of those things. And you're gonna hold your neutral. We're gonna go ahead and extend our left leg nice and long behind you. So extend it and lift it, good. And then you're gonna bring it all the way back in. And then we're gonna extend our right leg nice and long behind us. And we're gonna keep going. So try to go nice and slow. So you don't want a ton of rocking side to side. So the goal of this exercise is to start warming up the side of the leg that is not extending. It's also warming up the back of the leg, the one that is extending. It's warming up also through your shoulders and your core as the key stabilizing muscles here. So it's pretty much full body, but if you're rocking too much, if you're getting a ton of momentum through the body, you're losing some of that load. So we want to go slow. Good. And if you're looking at Emma also here, you're noticing that her low back is not arching and it's also not rounding. She's staying neutral and she's keeping her abs and her core engaged. All right.
Yep.
Let's
None of this.
No. Really frustrates me when I see that. Okay. Beautiful. Next time your left leg is long, you're going to hold it there. So take your time to get there if you need to even yourself out. So left leg is long, hold it there. Right arm is going to extend nice and long in front of us. So lift the hand off of the floor, and then you're going to tap the hand back down to where it came from. And we're going to keep going. Just the right arm extends and then taps back. Keep the leg lifted. Nothing is happening with the low body. And you want to think about 50% of your supporting weight in your left shoulder and then the other 50% of your weight in your right glute. So you don't want to be leaning too much to the right side. You want to feel even. Beautiful. All right, we have 6. Notice if the low back is starting to arch here. We're pretty prone to that here. So engage through the core as much as you can. And if it's getting into your low back, lower the leg, or you can also fully tap the toes down to the floor and leave the toes tapped. All right, let's take 2 more.
I already
Nice
have the
job.
wiggles in my left leg. Do you see
know.
that?
I do see that. Last one, hold the arm nice and long and hold. We're gonna bend elbow and leg round through the back so that you can touch elbow to knee, look towards your belly button a ton, get a ton of roundness through the spine, and then extend everything nice and long back to where it came from so that you go back to that neutral spine. So we're trying to get as much roundness as possible. So really look towards the belly button. It'll help you round through the upper back and the neck also, which we want. Nice. Beautiful. Good. And try to be super slow and super controlled so that you're not dumping too much weight towards the right side of the body. So because the glute is a bigger muscle than the shoulder, you're going to really want to lean towards the right. So try to put a little bit more weight into your left hand. These are really difficult to stay nice and stable. So we have 3 more. We're not going to be here for very long. Nice.
I feel a ton of core and a ton of left shoulder.
Good. All right, for 2. Beautiful. All right. You're going to give me 1 more rounded back. Good. Meet me with arm and leg nice and straight and hold. All right. Bring the toes down to the floor and keep them onto the floor. We're going to lift and rainbow arch the right arm. So keep it straight, open through the right side of the body. Tap your butt with your hand if you can. And then rainbow arch the arm back to where it came from and then face the upper body down to the floor. Yeah, good. So as you're rainbow arching the arm clockwise, you're opening up through the chest, looking towards the right side of the room. Good. And then as you're bringing the arm back to where it came from, you're rotating back through the chest so that it comes to face down to the floor. All right, we're going to keep going. If you want even more, you can lift that left leg back up, but you're going to have way less lift, like it's going to be less lifted off the floor because of the rotation of the upper body. All right, we have 4 more. How are we feeling? You should be feeling a lot of left shoulder.
Yes, a lot of left shoulder, a lot of obliques rotating me open.
Good. All right, last 3. Rotation really helps us get deep into the obliques, which is what we love, and it forces us to pay extra attention to our hips being leveled. Okay. We're going to take 1 more rainbow arch all the way towards the butt. Nice job. And then bring the arm all the way back to where it came from and then take a little child's pose. Take a break for a second. Roll up the wrists if you need.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to do that on the other side and then we're going to be off the wrists. So come back onto hands and knees. Hands just below shoulders, knees just below hips. This time we're going to go ahead and extend our right leg nice and long. All right, and you're going to hold it extended. We're going to extend our left arm nice and long, and then you're going to tap the left hand back to where it came from. And we're going to keep going. Just a little tap and extend. Good. So holding that right leg nice and long. Beautiful. Good. And being mindful of the distribution of the weight here. So remember, you want 50% of your supporting weight in your left glute and the other 50 in your right shoulder. Good, so that you're not leaning too much. And try to lift the right leg up a little bit higher, Emma, so that your hips are leveled. You're going to notice that your right hip is going to want to drop down a little bit. Okay, last 2. Beautiful. Okay, hold the arm out there. Hold it. We're going to bend elbow and knee, round through the back, look towards your belly button. Good job. And then we're going to extend everything nice and long back to where it came from. So remember, you want to look towards the belly button a ton. You really want to round through the upper back and the neck. Good, so that we can get more abdominal engagement. And remember, as you round, it's going to be a little bit harder to keep that weight centered. So you might want to lean a little bit more to the left or to the right, but usually to the left because glute is bigger muscle. So try to keep yourself centered. So you got to go nice and slow. This is less about the amount of reps and more about the time in the actual rep. Good job. All right.
I'm also really trying to push the ground away from me as I'm in my rounded position with my hand to engage the shoulder more.
For
and
2.
It's working.
A plus Q. Yes. Do exactly what she's saying. Okay. We're going to take 1 more rounded back. Really look towards the belly button. Nice job. And then meet me with arm and leg nice and straight. You're in your neutral spine and you're going to hold. All right. Bring the right toes down to the floor and leave them onto the floor. We're going to rainbow arch that left arm, open up to the left side of the room, tap the butt with the hand. Good job. And then we're going to come back to where we came from, rotating the chest down to the floor. So you want to get as much rotation as possible. So really try to open up to the left side of the room. Good job dumping all the weight into the right shoulder as you do that. Good. And it's also going to give you a nice opening through the upper back and the middle back. All right, let's take 3 more. Good. Keep pressing out of the right hand. Nice. Good job.
Aye.
All right, for 2. Amazing. I know. She's doing amazing.
Right shoulder.
I know. Okay, give me 1 more. Beautiful. This is probably the most challenging part of class. And then come all the way back and then take a little child's pose. Take a moment. I know. Okay, really reach your hands all the way forward. Reach your butt back. Open your knees nice and wide. So you've never actually swam with a dolphin?
No, but I would love to.
We have 2 animal things we need to do together. 1, milk a cow, and 2, go pet some dolphins and swim with them, ideally. Would be beautiful. But not in captivity in the wild and not getting eaten, ideally.
Yeah,
okay.
in the wild.
We're going to come onto our left side. So we're going to come onto our left form into a little side lying position. And then I want both of your legs bent, stacked on top of each other, and scoot your knees back a little bit so that your feet are in line with your butt. They're in line with your tailbone. Ideally, your elbow is just below your shoulder. I personally like to have it a little bit further away from my shoulder. I find it more comfortable, but to each their own. It's really not the end of the world. Top arm goes high up to the ceiling. All right, keep that top leg bent. We're gonna lift it up a few inches off the bottom leg, and then you're gonna tap it back down. And we're gonna keep going. So Emma did it immediately here. What you wanna do is really press out of your bottom forearm to lift the side body away from the floor. You wanna create that little triangle from your armpit to your hip, back to your elbow. And you can also look down towards the mat, just like Emma's doing, if you feel like you have an icky neck. All right. And adjust the placement of that bottom elbow if it's too much. As I said, you can always bring it a little bit further away from you, like further away from that bottom shoulder if you want a little bit of relief. If you feel like you're like too tight, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you feel tight, you'll get it. All right, for 4. If you don't, then ignore what I just said. All right, beautiful. Last 3. So this is a top side glute exercise. You're gonna feel the side of the top leg, the bottom oblique, and the bottom shoulder. All right, next time your top leg is lifted, you're gonna hold it lifted. You're gonna straighten the leg, and then you're gonna bring it back to a bent position. And we're gonna keep going. So we're playing around with the lever length here. So every time you are extending it, you're adding a little bit of load to the top side glute, but try to keep the leg lifted so that it's parallel to the floor. You're gonna notice like the leg is kind of will wanna drop down towards the floor as you get tired and as we start adding a little bit more load to it. It's our brain just playing tricks on us. All right, last 4.
Well, and the muscle.
And the muscle, that's true. For 3. Okay.
Feel top side glute.
Good. For 2, keep pressing out of the bottom forearm. All right, last one, hold the leg straight on the next one and hold. All right, we're gonna pivot so that we can come lie down on our right butt cheek. So you're gonna lift your left knee a little bit. Yeah, good. Until both of our butt cheeks are down onto the floor. Beautiful. And your entire left foot is down onto the floor. And then we're gonna pivot back onto the left foot so that we can come back to our original position. All right, so the first one you might be like, WTF is she talking about? Look at Emma, she's got it for you. So you're pivoting around the bottom foot. Yeah, good. And you're landing on both of your glutes until the left foot is flat onto the floor. And then you're coming back to where you came from. Nice, good job. All right, so top side glute is really gonna start feeling it. If it's too much, you could bend the top leg and do this with a bent top leg the entire time. But the good news is we only have 4 more and then just a little leg lift. Good, keep reaching the top hand up to the ceiling. And when you're on both butt cheeks, your chest is facing up towards the ceiling. So we get as much rotation as possible. Good, for 3.
I also feel my entire abdominal wall as I'm rotating around and trying not to like collapse.
Yeah, you really gotta keep your abs engaged as much as you can. Good, for 2. And you might notice you might be like inching away from the mat a little bit. So if you need to readjust, that's totally fine. Okay, really strong. Last one, meet me on both butt cheeks. Chest is facing up towards the ceiling. Left foot is fully grounded on the floor. Hold. Little lifts and lowers of the right leg. Last thing for 10, 9, 8, abs in. 7, keep pressing out of the bottom forearm for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Nice job. That's
quads.
Really hard. I know.
Abs.
That's a lot of quads on the last one. Okay, we're gonna do a little plank as our active recovery, one might say. And then we're gonna do that on the other side. So we're gonna come into a plank position on our hands, 2 long legs behind us. All right, I want your feet pretty wide for this. So open your feet a little bit wider than your hips. All right, we're gonna swivel our hips over to the right and you're gonna hold them there. All right, now we're gonna bend our knees 1 inch towards the floor and then you're gonna extend and we're gonna keep going. So hold your hips pivoted towards the right. Good, so that we can get deeper into that oblique. And you'll notice every time you bend through the knees, it's gonna add load to that oblique. Good. So everything from your top of the ribs on up is actually staying facing forward down towards the floor. So your shoulders are not rotated. So you're looking down to the floor. Your shoulders are square. It's just your low body that's pivoted. All right, give me one more. Beautiful. Pivot your legs to the other side. So come through center. Dip your left hip down to the left. Hold. Now bend and extend through the knees. Yeah, good. Keep your butt lifted in line with your shoulders. Good. For 6. Amazing job.
Intensely targeted oblique.
I know. I love an intensely targeted exercise. For 3. Beautiful. Good. All right. For 2. Nice. You're going to give me one more. Meet me center and then lower the knees. Come all the way down into a little child's pose. Good job. Okay. That was amazing. All right. Our friend, the side glute on the other side. So we're going to come down into our right forearm. Both legs are bent. Both legs are stacked on top of each other. And then scoot your knees back a little bit so that your feet are in line with your tailbone. And then bottom elbows either just below the shoulder or bring it a little bit further away if you want a little less tightness. All right, top arm goes high up to the ceiling. Keep the top leg bent. Lift the top leg up a little bit. Good. And then we're going to lower it back down. So other side glute is going to be working. Bottom oblique this time is working. And bottom shoulder is also working. Yeah. You know what this dolphin conversation has really ignited in me?
What?
I feel like I really would like to know more about the, what is it called? Like the breathing hole?
I don't know anything about dolphin anatomy.
Me neither. That's why it's intriguing.
Aren't they like super sexual beings?
Dolphins?
Did you know that? Yes.
What does that mean? Like they're having sex like on a daily basis for 5?
I don't know frequency, but they are and they enjoy it.
I wonder what the little dolphin sexual pleasure noise is. Last one, hold the leg lifted and we're going to hold. We're going to straighten the leg. Good. And then we're going to bring it back and we're going to keep going. So remember, as you straighten the leg, you're going to notice because this is a little bit more load on the top side glute, the leg is going to want to drop down towards the floor. So as much as you can, try to keep the leg lifted so that it's parallel to the floor. Good job. Keep pressing out of the bottom forearm. All right, we have 6. And then we're going to do our little pivot. Nice. Good. All right, for 5, keep breathing. Nice job.
Preparing myself for the pivot mentally.
For 4, the pivot is challenging.
Yeah.
All right, for 3, hey, but guys, she likes the pivot. She told me she liked the pivot. For 2. Okay, last one, hold the leg nice and long and hold. All right, we're going to pivot towards the left so that we can be on both of our butt cheeks. Good. And that our right foot is fully planted onto the floor and your chest faces up towards the ceiling. Nice job. And then pivot back into that original position. Good. So when you're landing, you want to make sure that you're fully on both butt cheeks. Your right foot is fully on the ground and your chest is fully facing up towards the ceiling. Yeah, there you go. Okay, remember if it's too difficult and you did this on the other side, you can also just bend that top leg and do this with a bent top leg the entire time. That'll reduce load on the quad. All right, we have 4.
Once again, a lot of right shoulder.
Yes. Good.
And quad and side glute.
I mean, she's feeling it all. And she's getting a little spinal mobility also, which we love.
Yeah.
For 3. Good.
Whew.
Beautiful. Keep breathing. Keep pressing out of that bottom forearm. This is our last exercise, and then we get to stretch. Good for 2. Amazing. All right. Last one. End up on both of your butt cheeks. Right foot is down to the floor. Good. Now little lifts and lowers at the left leg. Yeah, good for 10, 9, 8. I know left quad for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Nice job.
Oh my gosh.
That was amazing. Okay, let's come into a little pigeon, shall we? So let's bring our left leg forward into a pigeon. All right, and then right leg is nice and long behind you. Start onto your hands and then come down onto your forearms. And then once you're on your forearms, you can kind of swivel yourself left and right a little bit to get deeper into that left hip and left side glute.
Oh, I feel like we only talked about dolphins, but I want to hear more about the sea lions. I need to look into this after this class.
You know that sea lions, like I find them very just interesting animals because they are so similar to like cats in terms of like what they look like. But like they always look dry is my point. But they live in the water. Switch legs, other way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they constantly look dry. They maybe look slimy for like 10 seconds when they come out of the water, but that's about it.
It's interesting that you say they look like cats because in my mind, I think of them kind of as dogs.
Sea lions?
I equate them as like sea dogs.
Have you seen their whiskers?
Yeah, but something about the way they move and their like demeanor, it feels like dogs to me.
I don't know if I agree on this. They're very cat. Okay, you're done.
I'm tired.
Great job.
That was hard.
10 out of 10.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.